a Canadian radio sanctuary podcast.
So you don't think it's only happening in Toronto?
No, and I don't think everything is coming out of Toronto. I have a feeling that this is a mood that we get ourselves in. When I say ourselves, I'm not speaking of regions outside of the Southern Ontario region or anything else. We get it in Toronto too. We get those same feelings. It's not a question of greediness, and it's not a question of having done enough or not, or just wanting more and more and more piled on the plate. We think in the business, in this particular business that we're in, as you know, the arts industry, that line should exist. It should be living right across this country, as far as I'm concerned. When I came here for the film seminar a couple of months ago, the thrust of my diatribe had to do with the fact that of all the lines of communication, of all the things that we should have in this country, it should start with the cultural line. That should be intact. That should not be broken by mountains, by the Maritimes, by Upper or Lower Canadians, or anything else. As far as I'm concerned, that one line in itself makes sense that it be held together by all concerned. It is extremely important. I have no idea, being in this business, where all this other thing began of the East-West thing at all, as a matter of fact. I need work, just like anyone else across the country. They need work here. I understood that there was a sort of an Eastern backlash that came from here and so on. I found it a little strange because, in fact, although Easterners have been imported to do shows here and various other things of that ilk have happened, the same thing has happened in reverse. The person who played St. Joan at Shaw Festival last year was from here. Vancouverites do go there and work. They can work. There isn't that boycotting in a sense. And I'm not saying it even happens here. And I do understand how the regions have to nurture their own, build their own, get on with the business of creating for themselves their own indigenous theaters, film groups, and so on and so forth. I just wish it was all, I just wish what a lot of people out here think is true in Southern Ontario, which it is not. There's very, very little happening in Southern Ontario. It's the same as anywhere else. Films are scarce. Good theater is scarce. Do you realize that after all these years, we truly do not have our own national theater? I mean, the Appleberg report brought that out. The National Arts Centre is not national. And in that sense, now, this may sound like a contradiction, but that's a little bit of what you're talking about.
I think I should clarify what I was trying to say. It's not that I mean that I have a personal antagonism against Toronto or the East. I think that oftentimes filmmakers tend to center a film around the East, which I personally cannot understand. East meaning Toronto. But what I'm saying is, instead of shooting out here, there's incredible geography and actually climate where you can shoot all year. Sure, BC is used by American film people, but not often enough by Canadian film people, and I just can't understand that.
Canadian film people do not, as a general rule, have two nickels to put together of their very own. They really do not. This is not where the mini boom has gone. It may arrive again, God knows. But there isn't enough money to throw around. There isn't enough money to even have a choice of where to shoot. I've always wanted to shoot a film in Ottawa. Ottawa's never been seen on film. Never. Absolutely never. Now you've got that incredible place there that should be seen if we're talking history or geography and all of that. I know that any time that I have mentioned Ottawa to film groups or prospective producers and scripts and things that are being designed for film, oh no, can't travel. Can't possibly travel. There's no way. There are two distinct major kinds of films. There are those that we've been used to for a while where everybody got paid zillions for making bad movies. There are also, and those were led by people that would rather be doing them elsewhere anyway, forget either part of Canada, out of Canada. They would all rather be out of the country doing it in grand style in some larger market or field. And then there's the other small film that somebody carries under their arm for life. It's a labor of love that they want to get down. They can't possibly say, hey, I was once in Vancouver, I would love to shoot it there. It doesn't work quite like that because although the talent is here in abundance, by the time those budgets are drawn up, by the time financing is designed, is rigged, it becomes very clear, abundantly clear to them that they have to stay close to home. and make those people believe in them first. And that is one of the things, too. Anytime anything was ever done at CBC, I used to say, forget, for heaven's sake, waiting to see if the public likes it. Do we like it? Let's have some inner feeling about what we've been doing. Some confidence there, some faith and belief in what we're doing from the inside out. Let's hear it from the grown-ups, from CBC grown-ups. Now, out in the street, in general film, in that world, in Toronto, it's exactly the same. We need to know that we can do these things. We don't know financiers, even in our own area. I don't know the entrepreneur system. I just don't know those people at all. I'm as high and dry as anybody else with scripts at home that are saying, what are we doing here, sitting on this shelf? We want to get going. I would shoot in Timbuktu. I'd shoot anywhere. I love the entire idea of shooting this country on film. But I think the only way to do that is not simply to produce film because one manages to get all those doors open and make that film happen, but to shoot film and make film happen in this country and tell stories in this country that are our very own, tarnished by any other style or habit of filmmaking or whatever history that we've been used to from the outer world. But in fact, get to our own stuff, do it well, show the best of our country, whether geographically or personal, and it will, I guarantee, sell. It will eventually, because in fact, as we've said before, good is good anywhere. So I don't think it's, that would be a problem. I'd like to be able to figure a way to, and I think this has been attempted before, to associate ourselves, to create a larger association right across this country of people who are interested in the same thing. When that happens, I think we'll have greater muscle, far greater influence on government, on just about everything. The government, as you know, have set up CFDC some years ago, and in their terms, that takes care of their responsibility. So Trudeau and anyone else who's in power know just as little, and will know just as little about our concerns 10 years from now as they ever have. Canadian Film Development Corporation have learned their lessons too. This is all trial and error over these years. It is not the easiest thing in the world to get done, especially when investors across this country that we have so painfully nurtured, especially when those investors have lost faith, or at least they've seen, in the past numbers of years, their money badly handled or badly represented and so on. So we need to find those people again, or fresh new investors, and see where it's all going to happen. No one quite knows.